2016, a man walked into a Washington, D.C. pizza restaurant with an AR-15 rifle, not to eat but to self-investigate a conspiracy theory he read online. He fired 3 shots. Nobody died that day, but the rabbit hole that sent him there. Millions of people are still inside it, and the algorithm keeping them there is working exactly as designed. Folks, we need to talk about this. Every single day, ordinary people, your neighbors, your coworkers, maybe someone in your own family, are being quietly, methodically, systematically pulled into a world of online conspiracy theories. Not because they're gullible, not because they're stupid, but because billion-dollar platforms and a very particular kind of psychological vulnerability have created the perfect pipeline for radicalization. This isn't about alien lizard people. This is about real documented violence, real broken families, and a real measurable process by which normal human beings end up believing things that can get people hurt. We are going to walk through exactly how it happens, the mainstream research, the critics who say we're missing the point, and yes, the conspiracy theories about the conspiracy theories. Because of course there are. Strap in. This one matters. All right, let's start with what the researchers actually say, because the data here is alarming. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, QAnon, arguably the most documented modern radicalization pipeline, began in October 2017 when an anonymous user called Q on 4chan started posting cryptic messages claiming insider government knowledge. Within 4 years, it had amassed millions of supporters worldwide. The FBI formally labeled it a domestic terrorism threat in 2019, not a fringe forum curiosity, a terrorism threat. Let that sink in. The CSIS analysis found that QAnon functions as a big tent conspiracy theory, meaning it absorbs and connects dozens of pre-existing fringe narratives into one grand unified story. That's the genius of it and the danger of it. You don't have to buy the whole thing at once. You enter through one door. Maybe you're skeptical of pharmaceutical companies. Maybe you distrust the media. And suddenly, the whole structure is there, waiting. And the platform mechanics supercharge this. Researchers at Politecnico di Milano and EPFL studying Reddit behavior found that online social media platforms act as catalysts for radicalization, providing spaces where extreme beliefs take root and spread, and that users who later become deeply embedded in conspiracy communities show distinct linguistic and behavioral patterns before they fully radicalize. Meaning the platform can see it coming. The algorithm can see it coming, and it keeps serving content anyway. The UC Berkeley School of Information published research in 2024 drawing on 3 waves of data from individuals currently or formerly involved in fringe communities, mapping what researchers call an online pathway from casual skepticism to full radicalization. The pathway is real. It is documented. It is not a metaphor. Studies also consistently show that individuals who endorse conspiracy theories are significantly more likely to justify political violence. This isn't theory. This is peer-reviewed data. The Pizzagate gunman didn't appear out of nowhere. He was the logical endpoint of a pipeline. Now here's where it gets complicated, because not everyone agrees on the how or the why, and some of the most important critics are coming from within the research community. Some scholars argue that the media and political establishment dramatically overstate the role of the internet in radicalization, pointing out that offline social networks, personal grievance, and real-world economic stress are far more powerful radicalizing forces than any YouTube rabbit hole. The internet, in this view, is an accelerant, not the fire itself. Others, like researchers studying linguistic patterns on Reddit, note something uncomfortable. The people most vulnerable to radicalization are often those who are already isolated, grieving, or seeking community, and that conspiracy forums frequently provide genuine social connection, a sense of purpose, and an explanation for personal suffering that mainstream institutions have failed to offer. That's a policy failure, not just a platform failure. There's also a growing body of criticism aimed at the deradicalization industry, arguing that interventions which mock or shame conspiracy believers tend to deepen their commitment rather than loosen it. If you tell someone their community is stupid and dangerous, they don't leave. They dig in. Real deradicalization, critics argue, requires treating the underlying needs, community, meaning, identity, not just the bad information. And a crucial minority view: not all conspiracy theories are equally dangerous. Believing the moon landing was faked is categorically different from believing a specific named political figure is running a child trafficking network and needs to be stopped. Lumping them together, critics argue, actually muddies the conversation and makes it harder to identify genuinely dangerous radicalization pathways. Okay. We've done the science. We've done the nuance. Now it's time for my favorite segment of the show, which I am calling the part where my head falls off my body. I am joined as always by Tinfoil, who I want to be very clear, I do not agree with, but who has, I will admit, done more homework than most. Welcome back.
Thank you. I want to start with something simple. Ask yourself who benefits from the radicalization narrative.
I mean public safety, researchers who want grants, common sense.
Or governments and platforms that want a convenient framework for labeling dissent as dangerous. Think about it. The same agencies now funding radicalization research are the ones who get expanded surveillance powers when the threat is deemed serious enough.
So studying radicalization is itself a conspiracy. We are one layer deeper than I was prepared for today.
I'm not saying stop studying it. I'm saying look at who controls the definition of radicalized. Because today it means QAnon. Tomorrow it can mean anyone who questions monetary policy. Follow the definitional creep.
Okay, I do not love how calm you are about this. Next theory, let's go.
The algorithm isn't accidentally radicalizing people. The engagement model was explicitly built to maximize outrage because outrage drives watch time. There are internal documents from major platforms showing executives knew their recommendation systems were pushing users toward increasingly extreme content, and they kept it running because it was profitable.
Get a load of this, you're saying they knew.
The documents show they knew, and they /B tested it. Radicalization isn't a bug. It's an emergent feature of a system optimized for one thing, keeping eyeballs on screens.
I need a moment. Okay, I don't have a moment. Next.
QAnon specifically. The Q account posted on 4chan, then 8chan, then 8kun. Every time a platform tried to moderate it, it migrated. Conveniently, each migration was to a platform with even fewer moderation controls and even more extreme surrounding content. The pipeline self-optimizes.
You cannot be serious. You're saying the radicalization pipeline has a routing system.
I'm saying look at the timing and the infrastructure. Every time Q moved, the new host platform got a massive traffic bump. Who do you think benefits from hosting the most talked about conspiracy community on the internet?
Oh, it gets better, doesn't it?
It always does. Here's the one that actually keeps me up at night. The former extremist turned deradicalization expert pipeline. How many of the most prominent anti-radicalization voices are people who claim to have been deeply inside these movements? And how many of those same people are now on the speaking circuit, selling books, advising governments?
I mean, that's called redemption. That's a thing people do.
Sure, or it's a very effective way to maintain access to fringe communities, legitimize yourself with governments simultaneously, and never actually challenge the systems that cause radicalization in the first place. Who benefits from radicalization being a permanent, unsolvable problem that requires permanent, funded experts?
Okay, I'm going to need you to stop asking who benefits, because I'm starting to ask it about my lunch, and I don't like what I'm finding.
Last one, the Pizzagate shooter. He walked into that restaurant, he fired. Nobody died. He was arrested, charged, imprisoned. And within 72 hours, the story was everywhere, used immediately to justify platform crackdowns, new content moderation policies, and congressional hearings. The response was faster and more coordinated than the actual investigation.
You are suggesting the incident was used.
I'm suggesting that when a chaotic, scary event produces a perfectly timed, perfectly packaged political response, it's worth asking who had that response ready to go.
And I'm suggesting you need a nap and possibly a hug. But and I cannot stress this enough, listening. Here's where everyone actually agrees, even if they'd hate to admit it. The radicalization pipeline is real. It produces real-world violence, and the platforms that host it are at minimum complicit through negligence. Where it gets messy, mainstream researchers say fix the algorithm and fund counter-messaging. Critics say you can't algorithmically solve a problem rooted in human loneliness and institutional failure. And the conspiracy crowd says the entire framing, who gets labeled radicalized, who gets to decide, is itself a political tool. The honest answer is that all three camps have something right. The algorithm is deliberately exploitative. The underlying human needs are real and unmet, and the definition of dangerous belief has historically been weaponized against legitimate dissent. These things can all be simultaneously true. What is not up for debate, documented QAnon-linked individuals committed real acts of violence. Researchers can predict radicalization from early behavioral signals, and the platforms knew what their systems were doing. That's not a theory. That's a timeline, all right. Here's what I actually think, based on what the evidence actually shows. And I will be annoyingly honest about this because that's what you deserve. Online radicalization is real, documented, and dangerous. The pathway from casual skepticism to violent belief is not random. It is a measurable, predictable process that social media platforms' recommendation systems actively accelerate because engagement is profitable and outrage is engaging. That is not debatable. The critics are right that we cannot treat this as purely an information problem. People join conspiracy communities because those communities offer belonging, meaning, and answers to real suffering. If we don't address why people are so easy to radicalize, the loneliness, the distrust, the economic anxiety, we're just playing whack-a-mole with symptoms. And yes, we should maintain healthy skepticism about who defines radicalization and why, because history is full of governments labeling legitimate protest as extremism. That skepticism is not paranoia. It's civic hygiene. But here's the line in the sand. When a belief system tells you that specific, named person is a monster who must be stopped, and the internet hands you a community that agrees, an algorithm that feeds you more, and a sense of righteous mission, that is the moment the pipeline has done its work. And that moment has produced real guns, real threats, and real victims. The tech platforms have the data, they have the tools, they have made a choice. Whether we let them keep making that choice, that part is on us. That's the radicalization file, officially a research topic, unofficially one of the most dangerous unregulated systems on the planet. Drop your theory in the comments. Hit subscribe if you want the next classified briefing, and remember, the truth doesn't care if you believe it.